I understandably fuck the monkeys. Oh God, I don't fuck with monkeys. Oh bro now. Nathaniel beef. Shut your mouth. This look like a TikTok comic section, nigga. No, not in here. You know how I run shit over here, bro. You don't get to do what you want to do. You get to do what I allow. That's what happens over here.
April 2nd, 2020.
Nice. Just a shorter vid. Is this about him getting assassinated?
It's only been a month since COVID was officially declared a pandemic.
The first case of the deadly Chinese coronavirus making its way to the US.
Everything is still pretty fresh. Around the world, everyone is quarantined in their homes. And the
Bro,
McKean family is no different. Maeve and David McKean are quarantining with their 3 kids, Gabriella, Toby, and Gideon. They're staying comfortable in a house in the Chesapeake Bay. The family figures it's the perfect place to hunker down and wait for the pandemic to subside. The house was out in the country, so the kids would have plenty of room to run around and play. On the afternoon of April 2nd, one of the kids, Gideon, is playing kickball outside with his mom, Maeve. During the game, the kickball gets kicked a little bit too far and ends up in a nearby cove, so Maeve and Gideon decide to hop in a canoe to retrieve the ball from the water. They're paddling out onto the water when they're swept up by the tides or maybe the wind and pushed out into the deadly open bay. They drift helplessly out into 3-foot waves and 29-mile-per-hour winds. 30 minutes later, a random onlooker sees the mom and child aimlessly floating in the waves. He calls the police at around 4:30, hopeful that help will arrive in time. But that would be the last time Maeve and her son Gideon would ever be seen alive again. 6:30 rolls around, darkness is just around the corner, the Coast Guard recovers the canoe, but Maeve and Gideon are nowhere to be found. The canoe was capsized and miles away from where they were last seen. A day later, the husband and father broke the news over Facebook to his friends and family. They had been out there in the bay without a boat for nearly 24 hours now, and another night was approaching fast. Maeve and Gideon were almost surely dead. 4 days later, Maeve's body was found dead. After another 2 days, 8-year-old Gideon was discovered 2,000 feet from the body of his mother.
2,000
feet. On behalf of the people of Maryland, I express our most heartfelt sympathies and prayers to her
that nigga over there stacking
and to her entire family.
The story of Maeve and Gideon is tragic. You could chalk it up to being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or a bit of bad luck. That terrible things just happen to good people sometimes.
I'm not
but if you take a look at their family tree, a startling picture starts to emerge. You see, Maeve's mother's maiden name was Kennedy, and Maeve's grandfather was a man named Robert F. Kennedy. Yes, that Kennedy, the brother of the former President John F. Kennedy. And what you have to understand about the Kennedy dynasty is that although they are very powerful, the Kennedy family has been riddled with unfortunate death after unfortunate death. Generations of Kennedys dying too soon under suspicious circumstances. So much that there's a name for this bad string of luck. My name is Jake Tran. I make documentaries on money, power, war, and crime with my team.
Wait, this is Jake Tran? Jake Tran? Bro, I heard his videos are good.
And this is a story of the rise of one of the most powerful families in American history, and the unfortunate deaths that haunted them. This is the Kennedy
They must have
curse.
just sold something out to get here, because they just all get murdered. Hey, handle this nigga, bro. Handle this nigga. He said this. You see that? He said GDK. His name is FV.
The Kennedy family is known for two big things:
slugs.
their curse and their success. But they weren't just handed their success. The Kennedys built their legacy on skills that would take them to the top of the business and political worlds. Things like public speaking, negotiation, productivity. And if you want to move up in life, you're gonna need some of those skills too. That is where Skillshare comes in. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands
That's cool and all. This nigga just said he dug in his pants both hands and scratched his balls and whiffed it. And he doesn't bathe. You know that's a funky nigga. That's a funky nigga.
Rosemary Kennedy was born in 1918.
I was gonna
the eldest
spell
daughter
Nigeria.
of 9 Kennedy
I don't care
siblings,
what you're gonna spell,
and
nigga.
little sister to the
I
future
hate Nigeria
president
because them niggas scam my grandma, bitch. Fuck you.
John F.
Suck my
Kennedy.
balls, nigga.
Rosemary was thought to
Niggas
have suffered
scam
from
my
a lack of
grandman.
oxygen at birth. The family always said
my
that she was a
dick.
little slow. In her 20s, Rosemary started becoming irritable and acting out more. She would have mood swings and throw fits. It was a complete embarrassment for the head of the family, Joseph Kennedy Sr., who was trying to keep Rosemary's struggle a secret. If he wanted his sons to rise to the top of the political ranks, his family needed to look picture perfect. So in 1941, her father decided to put Rosemary through an experimental new procedure, a lobotomy. A treatment that involved putting a sharp ice pick-looking tool into the frontal lobes of the brain through the eyeball and wiggling it around. Yeah, rather disturbing. Her dad had her go through this without consent and didn't tell the rest of the family until after it was already done. And big shocker, the procedure was totally botched. The lobotomy left Rosemary with the brain of a 2-year-old. She couldn't walk or talk for the rest of her life. To keep her out of the public eye, Rosemary was locked. She couldn't walk, botched. Until after it was already done. And big through this with eyeball and wiggling it around. Yeah, rather disturbing. Her dad had her go through this without consent and didn't tell the rest of the family until after it was already done. And big shocker, the procedure was totally botched. The lobotomy left Rosemary with the brain of a 2-year-old. She couldn't walk or talk for the rest of her life. To keep her out of the public eye, Rosemary was locked up in private institutions for the rest of her life. 86 years, until she died in 2005.
Holy fuck.
Although Rosemary didn't die right away, she marked the beginning of many more deaths to come.
Bro, stop putting the Nigeria flag. Is that the
Joseph Kennedy Jr. was Rosemary's oldest brother and had been
flag.
preparing for a bright political career. When he was born, his father picked him up and proudly said, "This child is the future president of the nation." Joseph had plans to attend Harvard Law School, but he volunteered to pilot a top-secret bombing mission during World War II. And in 1944, an explosive on his plane blew up early. It completely destroyed the plane, killing Joseph Jr. and his co-pilot instantly. He was 29 years old. Only 4 years after mourning the loss of their first child, Rose and Joseph Kennedy Sr. would be claimed by death again. Kathleen was the fourth of the Kennedy children. She was lovably known as Kick for her outgoing personality. 2 years after her husband died, Kick started an affair with a man her dad didn't approve of. A married man, to be specific. She decided to visit her father in Paris to convince him that her new boyfriend was the real deal. When they stopped their 10-seat plane to refuel near Paris, the pilot warned them that the poor weather made it unsafe to take off. But Kick's boyfriend insisted that they get back up in the air. Can you guess the rest of the story?
They died again.
Yep, the plane crashed.
Oh
Kick,
my God.
her boyfriend, and the pilot all died on impact.
Oh my
Her father
God,
was the one who identified Kick's body. By the 1950s, the Kennedys had lost 3 of their 9 children in one way or another, but it was only the beginning of the family's curse.
We will climb this wall, face the endless speed. We shall then explore wonders on the other side.
Bro, stop spamming the flag.
As Joseph Sr.'s eldest son did, he turns his attention toward his second eldest son, John F. Kennedy. And this time, the kid actually lived long enough to reach his dad's political expectations. JFK would be sworn in as the 35th President of the United States.
Look what this nigga doing, bro. Look at this nigga. Look at what shit.
That you will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
That I will faithfully
And he being racist as fuck.
Of President of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
By the 1960s, everyone knew the Kennedy name, and people loved JFK. His approval rating was higher than almost any other president in American history. It seemed like things were finally turning around for the Kennedy family, until 1963. In August, JFK's wife, Jackie Kennedy, gave birth to a premature baby boy. They named him Patrick and rushed him to be baptized. Patrick only lived 39 hours before dying of something called hyaline membrane disease. The couple was completely devastated. They had already suffered 1 miscarriage and a stillbirth before Patrick. But even in grief, JFK had to continue his political campaign. The next presidential election was coming up quickly, and that's when it happened.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News. In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded
Why they have him
by
in a
this
drop
shooting.
top anyway?
November 22nd, 1963. Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. John F. Kennedy becomes the 4th U.S. president to be assassinated. It would go down as one of the most infamous and controversial assassinations in history, forever solidifying the Kennedy curse. But John wouldn't be the last victim of the curse in the 1960s.
I be a little racist, I can tell, nigga. Bro, he's been putting. I'm about to ban this nigga. Stop putting a fucking flag, nigga. Cut it out.
This is Robert F. Kennedy, aka Bobby Kennedy, JFK's younger brother. Bobby was moving up the ranks of the Democratic Party. He was a top choice for the Democratic presidential nomination, and he was hoping to fill the shoes JFK left. On a summer night in 1968, Bobby was celebrating. He had just won the California primary, and things were looking good for the presidency. Bobby had just finished up a victory speech at the Ambassador Hotel in California.
I thank all of you who made this possible this evening, all of the effort that you made, and all of the people whose names I haven't mentioned.
And that's when it happened.
God damn.
Bobby Kennedy was shot multiple times by a young Palestinian man. The killer claims to have acted in retaliation against RFK for his pro-Israelite stance. Bobby Kennedy died in hospital the next day. It would become yet another hotly contested assassination. By now, 4 Kennedy siblings were dead, and the curse was about to get someone who wasn't even a Kennedy. The youngest Kennedy, Ted, had narrowly escaped death in 1964. He survived a plane crash that killed 2 other people, and got out of it with a broken back and ribs.
What's up with the
After making a recovery from the crash, Ted went back to his political career. He was a super successful senator from Massachusetts.
Bro, your family is getting murdered left and right in politics, and you I'ma take up the mantle. Let's go. Like, no.
9. Ted was driving his Oldsmobile home from a party on Chappaquiddick
Go work at the fucking factory.
Just after 11 p.m. 28-year-old Mary Jo Kopechne was with him. After taking a sharp turn, he missed the ramp onto a narrow wooden bridge, and the car plunged into a big pond. Ted managed to escape the sinking car, but when he got to safety, he didn't call the police or an ambulance for Mary Jo. He left the scene, returned to his hotel, and went to sleep. It wasn't until 10 hours later that he finally decided to call the police. By then, they had already recovered Mary Jo's dead body from the water. The whole ordeal became known as the Chappaquiddick incident, and it absolutely destroyed the political career of the youngest Kennedy. After that, the curse would settle down for a little while, all the way up until the 1980s.
The 80s?
David Kennedy was the son of Bobby Kennedy, the second Kennedy that was assassinated. David was only 13 years old when he watched his dad get killed. After getting hit with such intense trauma, David turned to heroin and alcohol to cope. After a lifetime of struggling with addiction, he died of an overdose in 1984. David was found dead in a Palm Beach hotel room, an overdose in 1984. David was found dead in a Palm Beach hotel room. Cocaine, a painkiller, and a mood disorder medication were found in his body. It seemed like the curse was coming back to claim the next generation of Kennedys. 1997, Michael Kennedy, another son of Roberts, is skiing in Aspen, Colorado with his family. It's New Year's Eve, and they're all tossing around a football while riding on an expert slope. The game was a Kennedy family favorite. While playing, Michael ran into a tree at 4:15 p.m. The ski patrol arrived within 4 minutes and started administering first aid. But it was too late. At 5:50, Michael Kennedy was pronounced dead. Only 2 years later, the curse strikes again, big time. John F. Kennedy Jr., the famed president's only living son, took off from Essex County Airport in New Jersey. He was flying a single-engine plane with his wife.
Why is it always the plane, bro? Oh my god, it's always a plane. Educate yourself on the flag, bro. I don't know what that flag is. It's probably some racist shit, bro. What is this flag? I'm gonna ban you for some crazy shit. I'm about to ban you for some crazy shit. Oh, it's the Niger flag. It's not bad.
And sister-in-law. He only had about 300 hours of flying experience, but told his flight instructor he wanted to do it alone anyways. Their destination was Martha's Vineyard, about 200 miles away over the very dark and expansive Atlantic Ocean. These conditions can mess up even experienced pilots, and that's when JFK Jr. got confused. The plane fell from over 2,000 feet to 1,000 feet in 14 seconds before disappearing completely. It took 5 days to find the bodies of JFK Jr. and his passengers. The untimely death of JFK's only son shocked the nation, but those following the bloodline know that it was just another death in the Kennedy curse.
Let me say that John Kennedy and his sister and later his wife were uncommonly kind to my daughter and to my wife, and this has been a very difficult thing for us personally, as well as because of my position. They are very strong people, and I think they're carrying on as well as any human beings could, but they need the support and prayers of our country.
Okay, call him not. Okay, man. You're pushing it, nigga. Keep pushing it, nigga. Keep pushing it.
The Kennedys prayed that the curse had ended with the turn of the century. For around 10 years, there weren't any deaths or accidents, but then it came back with a vengeance. 2011,
Again? Oh my
Kara Kennedy,
God.
the daughter of Ted Kennedy, is working out at a health club in Washington, D.C. when she suddenly dies of a heart attack.
Oh my
Kara
God.
was only 51. It was super unexpected because she was in such good health. 2018, Christopher Kennedy Lawford, JFK's nephew, dies of a heart attack at age 63. The
Bro,
actor and
what is
writer's death
happening?
was also completely unexpected. 2019, the curse starts making its moves on the newest generation of Kennedys. At 2:30 p.m., first responders are called to an emergency at the Kennedy family's compound in Massachusetts. They're rushing to help Saoirse Robeson Kennedy, the granddaughter of Bobby Kennedy, after an accidental overdose, but they don't make it in time.
God.
At 3:14 p.m., Saoirse is pronounced dead at the Cape Cod Hospital.
It is a
She had
curse.
methadone, diazepam, ethanol, and 3 other prescription drugs in her system when she died.
Tragedy at the Kennedy compound, a grief-stricken family reeling. Saoirse Kennedy Hill, the 22-year-old granddaughter of Ethel Kennedy and the late Senator Robert Kennedy, confirmed dead late Thursday.
Her death came after a long struggle with depression, a struggle she depicted in a school essay, saying, "Although I was mostly a happy child, I suffered bouts of deep sadness that felt like a heavy boulder on my chest." Less than a year later came the deaths of Maeve and Gideon Kennedy McKean in Chesapeake Bay. From the outside, the Kennedy name is synonymous with wealth, influence, and power that anyone would be envious of. But on the inside, it's a bloodline filled with endless suffering.
And if you want to get a free stock, yes, a free stock worth anywhere from $3 to $1,000, all you have to do is go to public.com/JakeTran and create an account. Public is a social stock trading app that is a serious game changer because you can follow other investors right in the app to learn what they invest in, giving you a huge competitive advantage. So go to public.com/JakeTran to get a free stock with the link below. Thanks to Public for sponsoring this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you're new here, my name is Jake, and we make documentaries just like this one every single week on money, power, and crime, multiple times a week for free. So if you enjoyed this one, click that subscribe button below. Remember, you can always dislike and unsubscribe whenever you want, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you want longer documentaries that are too controversial to post publicly, click that join button below. We just put out a documentary on the Bin Laden papers that was seized during the raid that killed Bin Laden. Super fascinating video that will definitely get demonetized because it talks about Bin Laden and 9/11. All the things YouTube doesn't like, and you can watch it right now by clicking that join button below. There's a refund policy too, so if you join and you don't think it's worth it, just email me and I will personally refund you the money, no problem. You can follow me on Instagram at jaketran.io. That's gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. Stay dangerous out there, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Stay dangerous. Oh shit, he might be a blood. He might be part of YG in them clique.